Previously on the Abimbola Betrayal, Jasmine and AB had a quick courthouse wedding that only included AB, Jasmine, and two strangers as witnesses. Not one member of the Abimbola family approved of their relationship, and Jasmine couldn't have cared less. Amy, pregnant and bitter, crashed the stage of the gala with a bombshell accusation: James is the father of her child. Carmela broke things off with James. Meanwhile, her and Ab kept crossing paths, and even crossed the line. If you have not already, please hit the subscribe button and click the notifications bell. This way, you will be the first to know when new stories are posted from Sonia Welch. Now enjoy the story. The weeks that followed were a strange kind of quiet for Carmela. Her days were filled with client meetings, board presentations, and the constant hum of Jackson Financial Group's success. But her nights, those were harder. She had chosen herself, finally, cutting James loose, refusing Ab's nostalgia. But sometimes in the silence of her mansion, doubt tried to creep back in. Had she done the right thing? Could she ever trust love again? She pushed the thoughts away and doubled down on her empire. Success had always been her armor, and now it gleamed brighter than ever. One evening, she decided to step out alone, slipping into a new, to her, restaurant off the beaten path. The velvet booths and glimmering chandeliers made the whole space feel like it had been dipped in gold. She sat at a corner table, poised in a cream silk blouse and tailored black slacks, sipping on a glass of Merlot while she waited for her meal. A handsome gentleman, impeccably dressed, noticed her and made his way over. His salt and pepper beard was neatly trimmed, his cologne subtle but expensive. "Excuse me," he said with a warm smile. "I couldn't let the night pass without saying, you are the most stunning woman in this room." Carmela chuckled softly, her instinctive charm sparking to life. "That's quite the line. Does it usually work for you?" He grinned. "Only when it's the truth." Just as she was about to respond, movement across the restaurant caught her attention. Her eyes locked on a table near the window, with the shade pulled. It was Jasmine, and she wasn't alone. She was with a man who looked to be older than Ab, distinguished, well, groomed, dressed in a tailored charcoal suit that looked custom. He looked familiar to Carmela, but she couldn't place him. They were leaning in close, hands intertwined across the table, and when the waiter stepped away, Jasmine leaned forward and kissed him. Carmela froze, her smile fading as she watched. The gentleman at her table noticed her distraction and followed her gaze, but Carmela quickly looked away. She felt the urge to pick up her phone, to call AB and tell him everything. But then she exhaled slowly. It wasn't her business. Still, she couldn't resist pulling out her phone, angling it just right, and snapping a picture. She slipped it back into her clutch without a word, her face unreadable. She wouldn't use it, not yet, but she would keep it, just in case. She turned back to the man at her table, who was slightly confused as to what she was taking a picture of. She gave him a polite smile as though nothing had happened. He kept talking, but Carmela barely heard a word. She was in her head thinking, "I knew it. Jasmine is just a gold digger looking for a come-up." She pushed the thoughts away and pretended to be interested in what the gentleman was saying. After all, he was easy on the eyes, and she didn't mind his company. Ab's life was unraveling in ways he hadn't anticipated. The silence between him and Jasmine had curdled into outright contempt. Their arguments weren't just sharp, they were venomous. One night, Jasmine spat across the dinner table, her voice slicing through the tension. "Every night you sit there with your head hung low, and I'm sick of it. Yes, you left your wife, for me, but instead of being happy, you're miserable. Just look at me. I'm an upgrade, AB. Carmela could never look this good. You should be ecstatic that I chose to be with you, because, trust me, I can have any man I want." Her words echoed in the air, dripping with venom, but Ab saw them as confirmation. He thought about her 2 long nights out, the way her phone flipped face down whenever it buzzed, the expensive gifts that seemed to appear without his credit card ever being charged. He knew something was off. He leaned back in his chair, studying her with a coolness that made her falter for just a second. "You know what's funny, Jasmine?" His voice was low, deliberate. "For someone who's always quick to check my every move, you spend a lot of time making sure I don't know what you're doing." Her smirk wavered, then returned sharper than ever. "Don't start with me, AB. You're paranoid. You think everyone's betraying you because you betrayed Carmela." But the seed had already been planted. That same week, AB's business took another hit. A key investor pulled out, citing concerns about his public image. He didn't have to guess where the concerns came from. Atlanta was still buzzing about the court case and about Carmela's victory. And now, Jasmine's spending wasn't just irritating, it was a liability. Her designer bags, her luxury dinners, her constant need to be seen. All while whispers about her being unfaithful began reaching his ears. He couldn't help but think about the night his daughter told him that Jasmine had another man over. When he confronted Jasmine, she claimed it was a misunderstanding. She would never have done that, and she cried crocodile tears until Ab let it go. Sure, he let it go, but he never forgot. Late one night, as he sat alone in the dim glow of his study, Ab finally admitted to himself what he'd been avoiding. Jasmine wasn't just breaking him down. She was breaking the rules of the game she had forced him to play. And the thought that she might be playing him for a fool made his blood boil in a way even Carmela never had. For Carmela, the calm didn't last. One late afternoon, as she left her midtown office, a voice called out, "Carmela?" She turned. Amy. The woman's belly was now smaller. She had given birth. She held a car seat in one hand, the other resting on her hip. "I just wanted to say, you're too smart for him," Amy said, her voice cutting through the noise of rush hour traffic. Carmela frowned. "Excuse me? James. He'll tell you I'm lying, that I made it all up, but he knows. This baby," she glanced down at the carrier, "is his." Carmela's chest tightened. She wanted to dismiss Amy, but the conviction in her eyes, the exhaustion etched across her face, made it hard. Amy leaned closer. "Don't waste your time protecting a man who only protects himself. Ask him for a DNA test if you don't believe me." Before Carmela could respond, Amy disappeared into the crowd, leaving only the sound of her heels against the pavement and the faint cry of a newborn. Amy didn't know that Carmela had already broken up with James, but without knowing, she made her feel justified in her decision. 2 nights later, Carmela received an embossed envelope in the mail. It wasn't business. It wasn't family. It was from A.B., a gala, his gala, the one he and Carmela used to host every year for charity, the tradition he had let lapse after the divorce. Now, suddenly, he was reviving it. The card glittered with gold foil, the words carefully chosen. An evening to celebrate legacy, love, and resilience. Carmela let out a dry laugh. Legacy, love, resilience. He had some nerve. And yet, she knew she would go. Not for him, not for Jasmine, not for James, but for herself. Because Carmela Jackson never hid. The ballroom glittered like a crown jewel. Crystal chandeliers spilled golden light across polished marble floors. Champagne flowed from tall flutes, and violins hummed softly in the background. The city's elite had turned out in gowns and tuxedos, eager to see the return of AB's famed charity gala. But beneath the glamour, tension buzzed like static in the air. All eyes turned when Carmela arrived. She stepped through the grand double doors in a floor-length black velvet gown, the kind that clung like a second skin and shimmered under the chandeliers. A thigh-high slit revealed just enough leg to remind everyone that she wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. Her hair was elegantly styled, her lips painted a bold crimson that matched her nails. A diamond necklace rested against her collarbone, not one AB had given her, but one she had bought herself. The room seemed to pause, as if waiting for her next move. Carmela smiled faintly, the kind of smile that said, "Yes, I am here. Yes, I am unshaken. Yes, I am still that woman." Across the room, Ab froze mid-conversation. Carmela hadn't even looked in his direction, but the sight of her knocked the breath from his chest. Jasmine noticed immediately, the slight stiffening of his shoulders, the way his eyes lingered too long. "Don't embarrass yourself," Jasmine hissed under her breath, squeezing his arm. But Ab barely heard her. Minutes later, James walked in. His tux was flawless, his smile even more so. But Carmela noticed the faint shadow under his eyes. He had been calling again, texting, trying to mend what she had already ended. Tonight, he carried himself with the confidence of a man who refused to be ignored. Their eyes met briefly. Carmela gave him a polite nod, nothing more. But James wasn't the type to be satisfied with polite. By the second hour, the air in the ballroom was thick with unspoken words. Jasmine clung to Ab's side like an accessory, her sequin gown sparkling. As she laughed too loudly at jokes no one else found funny. James floated from group to group, networking, but his gaze kept flicking toward Carmela. And then, like fate itself had orchestrated the moment, Amy arrived. Not on the arm of a guest this time, not hiding in a corner. She came alone. Her figure was slim again, but the weight of motherhood clung to her eyes. She wore a simple navy gown, understated compared to the diamonds and glitter. Around her, but her presence was louder than any outfit could be. The second James saw her, his smile faltered. Amy didn't cause a scene this time. She simply walked to the edge of the room, met Carmela's gaze, and lifted her chin in a silent dare. Ask him again. Ask him about me. It was AB who cracked first. Spotting Carmela near the bar, he excused himself from Jasmine's grip and crossed the room. His confidence was back, his charm turned on full wattage. Mel, he said softly, just for her. You came. Carmela raised her glass, her voice cool. I wasn't about to let you rewrite history without me in the room. His lips curved, but his eyes were heavy with regret. History isn't finished yet. Before Carmela could respond, Jasmine stormed up, her smile stretched tight. Funny, I didn't know ex-wives got invitations. Carmela's laugh was low and deliberate. Oh, darling, I don't need an invitation. My name still carries weight in this city. People invite me everywhere. Gasps whispered through the crowd. Is this what we're doing? James's voice cut in, smooth but edged. He had walked up in time to hear it all. Public displays of jealousy at a charity event? Jasmine rolled her eyes. And who do you think you are interrupting? James smirked. The man who was smart enough not to let Carmela go. The tension between the four of them was electric now, like a storm about to break. Guests were whispering, phones discreetly raised to capture the moment. And then Amy's voice sliced through the hum. Funny how men appear to be noble in public, but don't take care of their responsibilities in private. All eyes turned. Amy stood at the edge of the crowd, her voice steady, her gaze pinned on James. Tell them, James. Tell them who you really are. Tell her who my baby really belongs to. The room went dead silent. Carmela's heart pounded in her chest. Jasmine's smirk widened, hungry for drama. Ab's jaw tightened, eyes darting between Amy and James. And James finally looked rattled but kept a smirk on his face. Amy stepped forward, her heels clicking sharply against the marble, the sound cutting through the silence like gunfire. You can smile all you want, James, but that little boy you're trying to ignore looks just like you. Deny it all you want. A murmur rolled across the room. Eyes darted to Carmela, then back to James, like a tennis match no one wanted to miss. James raised his hands, his polished facade cracking. Amy, stop. This isn't the place for this. Amy's voice rose, trembling but fierce. You made my life a circus. I begged you to help. You blocked my calls, shut me out, acted like I was nothing after years of being something. Now you want to protect your image? Her words hung heavy in the gilded air. Jasmine clapped her hands slowly, mockingly, her diamonds flashing under the lights. Well, isn't this a mess? She drawled. The great James, Atlanta's golden attorney, caught up in his own scandal. And Carmela? Her smirk widened. You sure know how to pick them, don't you? Gasps rippled across the room. Jasmine basked in it, feeding off the spectacle. But then she went too far. Well, at least James didn't ask you to marry him and then embarrass you. Abe didn't even give you that respect. Ab's head snapped toward her. Jasmine. His voice was low, dangerous. Oh, don't look at me like that, Jasmine snapped, tossing her hair. You brought me here. You paraded me like a prize. And now you're running around here like a puppy trying to get her attention. That's just pathetic. You're not behaving like the strong man I married. Her words hit him like blows. And for the first time, Ab didn't smirk, didn't dodge. His eyes darkened, his silence more telling than words. The crowd was on fire now, phones recording, whispers hissing. James turned to Carmela, desperate. Mel, you know me. You know I wouldn't. Don't, Carmela said quietly. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried. Don't use my name like it still belongs to you. Amy folded her arms, her eyes glassy but victorious. Jasmine stood with her chin high, daring anyone to check her. And Ab just stood there, shoulders heavy with the weight of choices he couldn't undo. And that's when Carmela decided the moment was hers. With deliberate calm, she set down her glass and reached into her clutch. The crowd hushed, curious. She tapped her phone screen, then turned it outward, revealing a crystal-clear photo of Jasmine in the restaurant, kissing a man who was most definitely not AB. Gasps erupted like fireworks. Phone shot higher into the air. Carmela's voice was velvet, lethal. You're awfully bold, Jasmine, for a woman who can't even stay faithful. I wasn't going to use this. Her gaze cut sharp as diamonds. But since you felt the need to speak on my business, let's make sure the room sees yours. Jasmine's face drained of color, her mouth opening and closing without sound. The man in the photo was older, powerful looking, the kind of man everyone in Atlanta's elite circles would recognize once the picture spread. Ab turned slowly to Jasmine, his jaw tightening, betrayal and humiliation colliding on his face. The silence between them was louder than any scream. The gala, the whispers, the flashing cameras, suddenly it was clear. This wasn't AB's night. It wasn't James's. It wasn't Jasmine's. It was Carmela's. And she was no longer playing defense. The next morning, Atlanta was on fire. Every social feed, every gossip blog, every morning show was buzzing about the gala. The hashtag #CanGalaMess was trending nationally, paired with clips of Carmela's velvet voice, Amy's blistering call-out, and Jasmine's photo kissing Senator Whitmore. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution ran a front-page piece titled, "Scandal. At the Gala, the Fall of Abimbola and the Rise of Carmela Jackson." Inside, anonymous sources confirmed that Senator Whitmore's wife had left their Buckhead mansion in the middle of the night. Jasmine's face was plastered across every gossip page. Memes were brutal. One showed her clapping mockingly at the gala, captioned, "And now we clap for your downfall." Another side-by-side showed Carmela in her velvet gown next to Jasmine, his panicked face with the caption, "Queens don't compete with clowns." Ab didn't leave his study all day. He felt like the world was against him. The worst part was that his suspicion about Jasmine was true. He had finally gotten the proof he was looking for. Jasmine was caught, and the evidence was crystal clear. There was no backing out of it this time. No amount of tears would soften his heart. He felt like a fool. He wished he could turn back the hands of time and choose Carmela again, but it was too late. James wasn't spared either. Amy's words had gone viral. Clips of her saying, "There's no denying it. The baby looks just like you," were spliced into TikToks and Instagram reels with captions like "She said what she said." Clients began calling his firm, asking pointed questions. They were concerned about his recent behavior. But Carmela? Carmela woke up to a flood of congratulatory texts, emails, and even flowers delivered to her mansion. Women she hadn't spoken to in years sent messages like, "You gave us all a voice last night." Her PR team, who hadn't even known she was going to the gala, called it the most powerful unscripted rebrand we've ever seen. By noon, Forbes published an op-ed, "Carmela Jackson, How Scandal Made a Titan Untouchable," and Amy received messages of support from women who had been silenced in their own lives. Donations quietly poured into her GoFundMe from strangers who wanted to help. For the first time in a long time, she felt like maybe she and her baby weren't alone. That night, Carmela sat on her balcony in silk pajamas, sipping a glass of wine as the city lights stretched out beneath her. Her phone buzzed endlessly, but she ignored it. She didn't need to answer to anyone. Not anymore. She thought of the photo still saved in her phone, of Jasmine's shocked face when the truth came out, of Ab's hollow eyes. For a brief moment, she almost felt pity. Almost. But then she leaned back, exhaled, and smiled. The world finally knew what she had always known. She was unshakable. At least for now. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Abimbola Betrayal. But, in the meantime, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click the notifications bell. This way, you will be the first to know when new stories are posted from Sonia Welch. And don't forget to hit the like button and share.